Hello and welcome back everyone. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we are playing with antlers, which you can essentially see in this lovely picture here. Although I don't know how I managed this. I don't even think this is actually accurate, because we've got a baby deer with antlers, which I don't think is true. They develop them later in life. And the not baby deer, the adult deer, looks a lot more feminine. I don't think antlers are on female deers, whatever the name for that is. But anyway, lovely picture. Let's take a look at the puzzle. So we are looking at Thermometer Antlers by EFlatMinor. E-flat is actually the same scale I'm using in the new outro music, although I'm using the Lydian mode, so not necessarily E-flat minor. And you can essentially see the antlers here with these thermometers. So you've got almost like one antler, a second one there on the right-hand side, and then some, I don't know, I know deers discard their antlers every now and again. Is that accurate? And you can almost see like there's a couple of them there on the floor, although they're fully developed antlers. I don't know why they would have discarded them. Maybe I should have read up a little bit about them before I started this intro. But that's not why we're all here. We're here for a bit of Sudoku. So we've got the following set of rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Then we have digits on a thermometer increase as they move away from the bulb end. And you can see we've got essentially a number of thermometers here. You've got one, although it's got many sort of fingertips there. 2 again, 3 and 4. And essentially the way to think about these is it's almost like a normal physical thermometer, in that the bulb end would be the lowest temperature or the lowest digit, and the further you get away from the bulb end, the more that these digits would have to increase. They obviously don't have to be in a running order like in the one that I've done here, so there's nothing wrong, for example, with that being a 6 and that being an 8. That's totally fine as long as it's increasing as you go further away from the bulb end. We've also got Kropke set of rules, so digits connected with a white dot are consecutive. We've got many of these throughout the puzzle, so for example, if I pick this set of dots here with these 2 cells connected by them, if that was a 2, for example, this would have to be 1 or 3 to be consecutive with the 2. Digits connected with a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio, so let's use our 2 example again. This would have to be a multiple of 2, or a division of 2, a factor of 2, so that could be 1 or 4 to be in a 1 to 2 ratio with the adjacent cell. Now it doesn't say anything about negative constraints, so I'm going to assume they do not apply. So what essentially that means is nothing stops us from having 2 and 4 in here. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to have a black dot joining them. That's it. That's all the rules. It's fairly straightforward. Feel like strolling with a bunch of deer with antlers. Feels a bit dangerous to me. I don't know if they're going to attack you with them. Link will be in the description down below as usual if you want to play along. And with that said, let me restart the clock and see how I get on. So I'm looking really at box 2 and box 5, where I'm going to say it feels fairly obvious what they are. For example, you can never have a 1 halfway up a thermometer. If I put a 1 in here, that's implying that this is smaller with a 0. So the only place the 1 can be is in there. And the same is true actually for box 5. Again, these are all partway up a thermometer. This is the only place a 1 can be. Now, the flip side of that is a 9 can only ever be at the end of the thermometer. So I couldn't have put a 9 literally anywhere here, because that would imply that there is another digit that is higher than 9, and given we're limited to the digits 1 to 9 with normal Sudoku rules, that's nonsense. There is a 9 in here somewhere. But if we take it further with these white Kropke dots, if there is a 9 in here, that's got to be an 8, that's got to be a 7. So this is a 7, 8, 9 triplet. The 9 is going to be on the end. Can't have a 9 in the middle with two 8s joining them. That's clearly not going to work. In fact, the 8 has to be in the middle and then surrounded by a 7, 9 for it to be able to essentially have these two white dots joining it to be consecutive. We're not quite as restricted here in that there is definitely a 9, but the white crop key dots are in the middle. So it's not as helpful as this was. What I can say is there is definitely a 2 between these. You know, the 1, because the 2 has to have something that's smaller than it since it's partway up. I couldn't have placed it in any of these cells because that would imply that there's something between the 1 and the 2, and there isn't. So one of these is a 2. If that's the 2, that would be the 4. And I don't think that's possible because how am I going to fill? Is that possible? I can put 2 and 3, I guess, and then I can put any other cell in here, any other number. But then look at what this 3 is doing. We've got these white crop key dots. So essentially we need a straight run of 3 digits in here. And 3 can't possibly be one of those. So essentially it's a very long way of saying I'm fairly sure this cannot be a 4. And it can't, and you know, if this is a 2, it can't be a 1 either. So yeah, pretty confident of that. That's not the 2, that's the 2. Well, I think I want to actually think about what this is. If that's not a 4, feels like the only thing it can be would be a 2. So the options were 2, 4, I guess 3 technically is an option if I put 6 in here, which is not possible because, you know, where would 3, 4, and 5 go? Essentially that something or some things would have to be higher than 6. So this can't be 3. This can't be 6. And I'm not sure this can be 4 anymore because this would have, well, we've proven that it couldn't have been a 4 because this would have to be an 8, excuse me, an 8, which is not possible, or a 2, which is also not possible now. So I'm pretty sure this can only be a 2, this can only be a 4, this can only be a 3 now. This would have to be, yeah, this would have to be the 3. There's nowhere else that this can be, can it? Actually, let's think about this for a second. This will be 5, 6 pair. This is obvious. Now, if I put a 3 anywhere in here, I guess I can technically do 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. No. Whatever I put in there has to be smaller than this run. So if there's a 3 on here, the 4 and the 5, because there isn't a 2, will have to be on there. And then what is smaller than 3, 4, 5 and not 1 or 2? So this has to be the 3. This has to be 4, 5, 6. And this has to be 7, 8, 9. That's not a 4. I mean, I could do a bit better, actually. This has to be the one in the middle between these two. So that's the 5. That gives me the 6. The 5. That's not an 8. Super. Now what? So, I mean, I can do a bit of not very helpful pencil marking in here. For example, the 1s gives me the 1s in here, the 3s gives me the 3s in here, and then the remaining digit in addition to these 2 is one of the 7 9s. And then we've got a 7, 8, 9 because we only pencil marked 2 of them, a 4, 6, and a 2. And we've got a 4, 6, a 7, 8, 9, and a 5. Yeah. So like I said, I can do a bunch of not very helpful pencil marking. I think it's probably time to think about these thermos. In particular, these black crop key dots. So we've got 7, 8, 9 covered, which means one of these is from the set 1, 2, 4, and one of these is from the set 3, 6. Now, just if you look at how far up the thermometer this cell is, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no way this is a 1, 2. And then the same kind of concept applies. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no way that this would be a 3. Essentially, we've got a 4, 6 pair. Then one of these is a 3. And then the 4, because the 8 is already pencil marked in box 5, the 4 would be joined with a 2. And then we're left with, in the row to complete it, a 1, 5 pair. Now, 4 or 6 is actually quite restricted, particularly the 4. So on one side, we'd have to have 1, 2, 3, then the 4, and that will be the 2, and because that's the 1, that will be the 5. But then on the other side, this would be a 1. In fact, take a look at these thermos. Whichever one is the 1 has to be joined with a 2. We actually know the direction because we've just, I criticized that corner pencil marking and I said it's useless, but it actually tells us the order of this. So I am going to quickly take it rather than spend a lot of time working through this. And that will be the 5, the 1, the 6, the 3. This can't be the 5, that's the 7. And I guess over here, that's not the 5, that's the 3. So on this side, and sorry, excuse me, that was the 2. That was a whole reason of why we were able to actually fill in all of this. So on that side, this can only be 3, 4, 5. And yeah, it's fixed because we've already placed 1 and 2 in here. This is not the 1, 3. These are 1, 3s. This 3 tells us the order. That's 3, that's 1. That's not the 5. So one of these is 4, 6. One of these is 7, 8, 9. This 3 can't be a 2. It can be a 4 though, giving us this 5, giving us this 6, this 4, and this is a 7, 8, 9. We need a 6 in one of these with a 7, 8, 9. And that's the last 7, 8, 9. It's a 7, 9 in this case. What is this cell though? It's not 1. Well, it has to be higher than 4. It's not 5, 6, or 7. That's 8, 9. We've got 2 sets of white Kropki pairs in row 9 and a 7, 9 in the middle. So essentially what I'm thinking is there is a 5, 6 pair, and this 5 is telling us the order. So that would be the 5, 6, and then a 7, 8, 9 set with a definite 8. Because it could also be a 9, 8 or a 7, 8. We don't know what it is. Now, I don't think this would work because if I don't use the 5s, if I go for, let's say, 6, 7, which I don't think is possible, we've got 2 5s in here. We know that there's a 5 on this. But if I had gone for a 6, 7, that would be a 9. And essentially, I would have a 5, 8 somehow joined with a white Kropki dot. So clearly, that's also nonsense. That's not the case. This is not the 7. We've got an 8, 9 pair, but we just said there has to be an 8 on this white Kropki dot to actually join them. So that's the 9, that's the 8, that's the 7, that's the 9, 7. None of these are 7 now. That's not a 9. We need a 7, 8, and a 6. Still don't know much about the 6, so I'm just going to ignore it for now and come back to it later. Do I know much else, though? Can I actually fill in any of these boxes? That's a 2, for example. That's 1, 6. This 6 tells me the order. That's the 6. That's the 1. That tells me this is the 6. And this is a 7, 8. We need another 7, 8 with a 9. I don't know what it is. There's another 7, 8 with a 4. So that's the 4. That's the 7, 8. That's a 7, 8, 9 with a definite 9 in here. just taking it all in. So for example, ones, that's a 1. We know that there is a 6-7 pair in here, making this an 8-9. We need another 8-9 and a 2. This is giving me the 2, can only be in here. That's the second 8-9 in this row. We need a 4, a 5, and an 8-9. These 4 5s tells me that's a 4-5 pair. That's an 8-9. I need a 7-8. Sorry, I need a 6-7 and an 8-9. I think I can do a little bit better than what I've just pencil marked in here. Because I have an 8-9 in there, clearly the 9 doesn't belong in here because that would require a 9-8 and breaks this cell. So there's no 9 on this run. To join this, there has to be a 7 because it's essentially a 6 and a 7 or a 7 and an 8. There's no 7 in here. This is now 6, 8, or 9. That all looks in order. We've got this white Kropke dot that hopefully will break things for us. Almost. We almost have a triplet. Almost have a triplet. Or maybe we do and I've pencil marked incorrectly. Have I? I'm quite happy with this. So let's think it through. If that's an 8, that would be 7. That would be 9. 7, 8. Sorry, 8, 7, 9. Then I've broken it. That can't be 8. If that's 7, that would be 8. That would be 9. This would have to be 6. If that's 6, that will be 5. I assume that would have to be 7, 8, 9. It seems to be consistent that this is always a 9. So this is 6 or 7. If that's 6, it's 5. If that's 7, that's 6, and that's 5. And this is always a 9. This is always an 8. This is always a 7. That's not the 7. Therefore, this is the 7. Therefore, this is the 6. That's the 5. That's the 6. That's the 8, 9, 6, 9, and 8. Got a 4, 5 in here. If that was a 5, can't be a 4, can't be a 6. It's not a 5. That's a 4. Can it be a 5 or 3? It can be both, it seems. Neither is unavailable. Can we finish these? Let's have a look. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 already in here, and 6. This is 8, 4. This is the 8. That's the 4. We know what this digit is. It's a 7. What about what's in here? We need a 1, 2 pair to finish this off. And we need a 9, 5, and 3. 3, 5, 9. 3 and 5, that's the 9. That's a 3, 5 pair. This is not 8, not 4, not 1 and 2, because that would break this cell. This is 6, 3. Got a 3 in here telling us the order. That's the 6, that's the 3. Therefore, this is the 5, the 3, the 5. This is another 1, 2. We've got a 2 in the column. That's the 1, 2, and 1. Yeah, this, I was thinking, how am I unwinding these? We've got this 8, 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, and 7. And just a bit of Sudoku, and we're home, basically. What do we need in here? An 8, 9. That's a 9. That's an 8. We need a 2. We need a 4. 4. And if I've not made any mistakes, a 7 to finish this puzzle. This beautiful, absolutely stunning puzzle. Yeah, I mean, what a way to start the week, really. Nice, simple puzzle that just flows very beautifully. You know, fairly easy in starter with the 1s, the 7, 8, 9. Having to think through this black crop key dot to basically give you a whole bunch of this grid, really, all of these. And then this lovely play with the thermometers at the end, and these black crop key dots, and the 7, 8, 9, and then the rest of it just, flows very naturally from there. It's a lovely puzzle, EFlatMinor. I hope, we continue to see more of you. I think it's the first time I've actually featured any of your puzzles, so I'll certainly take a look through your back catalogue and have a look at anything else that is worthy of playing for everyone. Hope you enjoyed today's video and that you enjoyed today's puzzle, and see you back tomorrow, where we're going to continue our new plan of having a lot more approachable puzzles on Tuesdays for everyone's enjoyment. Bye for now, and see you soon.